What up, everybody? This your boy, Mr. Collipark, and you're tuned in to Rolling Out. Who's Spinning? Yeah.
What's going on, everybody? Back again here for Rolling Out. Who's Spinning? Your host is always Malik Brown. Of course, when I say who's spinning, we're talking to the hottest, the coolest mixers, DJs in the building. And today, y'all, I'm with a legend. I'm going to call him a legend. I'm with my guy, Mr. Collipark, DJ Smurf. Well, however you know him best, Mr. Collipark in the building. My guy, what's going on?
Yeah, what's up, homie?
Nothing much, man. Thank you so much again for coming on, speak with us about everything, man. Of course, we met a few weeks ago, of course, at the AI mixing lab rolling out. We talked a little bit about everything that you do. But I mean, first of all, how was the Thanksgiving? Gotta get that in house for Thanksgiving.
You know what? It was great. I must say, for the first time, I kept it in the middle of the road. I usually eat myself into a coma in the middle of the floor. So old school, I used to fall asleep on my mom's the house that I grew up in the middle of the floor after I ate Thanksgiving. But I didn't do it this year. First of all, we had it over my older sister's house. But I only ate one medium-sized plate, and I left it at that. So all is good, man.
It seems like the running thing I've seen on social media so far that last night and today is like, dang, we only good for one plate nowadays. You get one plate, you go back and get another one. Seems like everybody can only hold one plate this year.
Well, real talk, they were trying to give away the food this year at the end. It was so much left over, which lets you know that people are more conscious of how much they put in their body now, which is a good thing because we getting older, man. We can't do it like that no more.
Nah, you're right. Well, good. Look, thanks for telling us about that Thanksgiving story. We love that. But Mr. Collipark, it's in your name, Atlanta's own. Just tell us, Mr. Collipark, what who are you? What are you all about?
Music, man. You know what I mean? Collipark. When I started using Mr. Collipark, of course, I started out as a DJ. My name then was DJ Smurf, and it morphed into Mr. Collipark. But it was always all music related because at the time I started out DJing as DJ Smurf with one of the first mixtape crews out of Atlanta called the J Team, and I couldn't use that name for legal reasons. After I made a couple of albums, the Smurf trademark, they came after me and told me, they sent me a cease and desist. So when I started working with the Yin Yang twins, I had to get a new name. So it went from Mr. Collipark, then I called myself Beating Ass. That's a whole other story, which was not marketable because it was a joke. When I came up with that name, I didn't know Yin Yang was going to pop the way it did. So then the bigger they got, I had to find a more marketable name. So then I chose Mr. Collipark because it represented the music that I did always represented where I came from.
Love that. I mean, you talk about College Park, and I mean, the people that have come through College Park. I mean, you talk about 2 Chainz. 2 Chainz owns a part of the College Park Skyhawks, of course.
Right.
So it's a bunch of people that have come from there. I mean, you talk just how big has College Park been to your career, and seeing all these other artists thrive that are from there as well.
Well, it's crazy. You never think about it as it's happening in real time. Your day-to-day life, your influences, and the things that you see, all the way to my neighborhood, Point of Ridge, where I grew up, the friends that I had, the schools that I went to, Banneker, Fellwood, S.L. Lewis, where Jermaine went to school at. So I didn't realize that Jermaine left the year before I came. So we never actually crossed paths at the elementary school, S.L. Lewis, which was right around the corner from where I grew up. But College Park, for me, it just molded my vision, my viewpoint of everything I saw. I didn't play in the church. I wasn't in the choir or anything like that. It was just how I took in hip hop. And the skating rink, Skate Town, right up on Old National Highway was a huge part of that. So, and like I say, you never think of how that's molding you and shaping your vision of how you're going to perceive and regurgitate back what you get, what you take in. So that's everything. College Park is everything for me.
Love that. For you, you talked about, music is your everything. Where did your love for music start? Where did that come from?
My parents and my oldest brother. We were all in the band. My dad was in the band. My dad played trumpet. My mom played oboe. My oldest brother, who I looked up to, played trumpet. My older brother played trombone, baritone. My older sister played clarinet. So it was just, I'm the youngest of six. So, you know, the band was big, and then my mom bought 12 inches in records. And then my oldest brother then started doing that. So when the 12 inches, the long playing versions of these singles, when they would come out, they would put them on 12 inches. And my brother bought all that stuff. And that's when I started sneaking into his room and scratching up his records when he was gone. So yeah, the band and my oldest brother.
Love that. So, you know, like you said, you went into the mixing, the DJ realm. What did that look like that first time? You know, actually being able to mix and DJ and things like that. How did that look for you?
Well, from going to Skate Town and hearing the first scratches on the record, for me it was like Jam Master Jay, the song Jam Master Jay by Run DMC, and that was one of the first songs I heard it. But when it hit me, was Throw the D by the 2 Live Crew. That's when it really hit home for me, when I heard the turntablism of those old comedy records. Red Fox and all those guys, Mr. Mix would take those records and scratch them over 808 beats. So the 808 back then, it wasn't as common as it is now, but it was something about the warmth in the 808 and the DJ scratches on top of that that just said, hey, this is something you need to be a part of. And it just sucked me in, man. Pause. That was a joke.
You're good. So you also talked about, of course, working with Yin Yang Twins. Of course, everybody knows the infamous Yin Yang Twins. How was that working alongside them?
It was great, man. I was like the silent third member for them. If you recall, well, if you go back with hip hop, the DJ was always the cornerstone of hip hop, and so it was always the DJ and the rappers. So in turn, I was sort of the DJ / producer. So we came together. I was just like the silent member of the group. So the vision of the music that I make is I come from the Freaknik era. So if you listen to the Yin Yang Twins music, it's just like slowed down Freaknik music. And so that's kind of how our sound evolved from DJ Smurf into Mr. Collipark, which gave that vibe off to Yin Yang. Because I made 4 albums as DJ Smurf on Ichiban Records. And so after that, that's when I started my label inside Yin Yang Twins. So their sound was actually DJ Smurf sound slowed down.
How do you talk about that time, with Yin Yang Twins, your DJ Smurf days, Freaknik, just the type of music back then, and you think about now, what are some differences, some similarities that you see, from when you first started out to now in 2023 when it comes to music?
Oh man, that's an easy question and a hard question. I want to say the difference now is there isn't as much variety in the music, because you had the music from the South for the most part was fun. It was all party music, dance music for the most part. You had a couple of street rap groups, Ghetto Mafia, the Hard Boys that were, but for the most part, it was like Kilo, Raheem the Dream, 2 Live Crew, 69 Boys. That was the South. But that was just one facet of hip hop. Then you had the East Coast, you had the West Coast, you had Texas, you had Midwest. Everybody brought something different. Even the city of Atlanta, Ludacris, Lil Jon, Yin Yang, Bone Crusher, T.I., Outkast, Goody Mob. Even the variety in those names that I just stated, it was always a variety of music. But now, I don't care where you from, it's all one same pot of soup. It ain't even gumbo no more. It's tomato soup. We had gumbo. It's tomato soup now. I just came up with that.
No, I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Talking about 50 years of hip hop, but in Atlanta specifically, of course, you named all the rappers from the South Atlanta, of course. Outkast specifically, Andre 3000. He gets on stage, say the South got something to say. From there, it seems like Atlanta just takes off.
Right.
When you talk about from that point on, what has made the South, Atlanta, one of the premier spots for hip hop music?
I think the culture. You know, when you mix in the music, everybody got family from the South. First of all, I don't care where you're from. Somebody's connected to you from here. So I don't care what region you shouting, your family from here or somewhere around here. So I think when you put all that stuff together, and we were appreciative of our position in hip hop. We were never, up until recently, we never felt entitled. I feel like, especially New York, I feel like they felt entitled, and rightfully so. It started there. So, but after a while, you can't keep treating your customers like crap. You know what I mean? Or they're gonna go somewhere else. And that's what happened with us. And we were just so appreciative, and our work ethic was just so hard, because we never expected to be here. And then the culture of the city and the region of the South is just what everybody, they gravitate to it anyway. So that's why we just keeping it. It'll never leave here.
You of course through your time, Ying Yang Twins, and then you talk about Soulja Boy, somebody like Soulja Boy that
right
that started off with Crank Dad. I mean the Crank Dad era. Going on to that era, how was that working with him and seeing what he was able to do?
Well, it extended my run in the sense that if you go back to when I started DJing, it was the 80s. And so you got to think, I signed Soulja in 2007. So I had a whole run before Soulja. And this is a young man's game. You know what I mean? So it was just like to get involved in someone. He was 16 at the time. Well, actually before him, I had Hurricane Chris. So I found Hurricane Chris right before Soulja. So Chris was 17 when I found him. Soulja was 16. So when you get around kids, so you got to think, Mr. Collipark was walking around with suits and cigars and all that stuff before I found them. But when I found them, I said, I can't keep that energy, and be around these kids. So I had to kind of reset. And it was just it was refreshing, because I feel like at that time, it's kind of like what it is now. It was time for something new. It was just time for something new, because everybody, it had gotten stale. And so that era of Hurricane, Soulja, VIC, that whole little run right there, that was like a reset for me, and it kind of started everything over for me. So I had a lot of fun doing that.
For sure. Of course, you look at Soulja Boy's interviews now, he's always saying, I was the first to do this, I was the first to do that. Kind of like a trendsetter. I mean, I believe he's a trendsetter too. What did you see in Soulja Boy at age 16 that I guess you kind of knew, like, oh yeah, this could go a long way?
The same thing that you see now. I mean, it's consistent in that way. The only thing that's different now is that what I feel like I could bring to his table is to because his songwriting skills was always great, was to just tighten up the music. You know what I mean? And just keep him focused on the music aspect of what he was doing. And if you would have heard these same songs that we released on Collipark, he had already recorded them and put them up. I brought them in, re-recorded them, polished them up, and packaged them up. And so other than that, he was just always a marketing genius. And that's what I gravitated to. That's what caught my eye. Even more so than the music when I found it.
So now in 2023, Mr. Collipark, what do you consider yourself in the music business? It seems like you've done it all. What do you do now?
Man, just trying to get in where I fit in, dog. Again, this game, it don't owe nobody nothing. It is relentless of taking you in and spitting you back out if you don't keep up. You know what I mean? So for me right now, I'm cool on hip hop. You know what I mean? Because again, it don't get me out of bed in the morning. It's nothing. I was hoping when I heard that 3 Stacks announced his album that would be something like, oh man, he's gonna do something that's going. And sure enough, he did something. But I'm not gonna go grab a oboe and make a. You know what I mean? So that I thought that might inspired me to do some rap. But right now, I'm messing with the Southern Soul. That's where I'm at with it right now.
It's crazy. The next question I was going to ask you was definitely about the Andre album. And when you said that hip hop doesn't wake you up anymore, and I don't know if you saw a part of the interview that he did. You know, people were wondering, like, you know, why do you go with this instrumental album? We're looking for lyrics, and he's like, I mean, there's nothing I can really rap about now. Like, it just doesn't fit. Oh, and everybody's like, wow, like this is crazy. What are your thoughts on that?
You know what's crazy? It's actually eerie that when I heard he said that, I had just listened to the Rick Ross and Meek Mill album, and I'm a huge Ross fan. And I was on the road doing on a road trip, so I can, you know, when you're on the road trip, you can really take the music in. And I'm sitting here listening to the album, and I'm like, oh man, how many more times can he do this? I've heard all of this already. You know what I mean? And it's not a diss to Ross. It was like at some point, somebody got to bring something different to the table. So I had just said that to myself about the Rick Ross in particular, because he's had a long career. At some point, what can you present to your fan base that's going to keep them engaged? You know what I mean? Like, you got a new artist like Sexy Red. She's brand new. One album. Has she even put a whole album out yet? I don't know. If you first, second, third album, you still new to your fan base. But at some point, when do you introduce something new to a fan base that's been riding with you the whole time? And then even the young folks, what they're bringing, we've already done. So me, I'm a statesman in hip hop. So there's nothing that I hear now that makes me say, oh man, I haven't heard that before, or you know, just something creative. So in that respect, I can appreciate the Flute album. I just ain't made it all the way through it yet, because the song's like an hour a piece.
I feel it. I feel it.
Hey, take a nap. You can take a nap and wake up, and you on number 3.
I feel it. I feel it. So you know, you talked about how you know, you're kind of in the soulful realm now. Why that lane? What does that do for you?
Well, Southern Soul music is actually a genre called Southern Soul, and it reminds me of crunk before it popped. It only existed here. You know what I mean? It didn't exist on the radio. It just was in the streets. And I'll never forget when John came to me for Yin Yang Twins to do Get Low. If you follow John, he had everybody on his albums. Everybody. Trick Daddy, Fat Joe, anybody you can name, whoever was hot at the time, John would put him on the album. And his album would take you on the journey. Of course, he was that crunk, fighting the club music, what he was known for before Get Low. And so when he came to get Yin Yang for Get Low, we were coming off Ay Ay Ay. So if you listen, the songs they're similar, but they're not similar from the instrumentation of it. That song only existed in the strip clubs and in the streets. That's what Southern Soul is now. If you're not in the South, in Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, it's kind of like blues for now. We call it blues. My age group call it blues, but it's a younger group of artists from BB King and you know, and all that stuff. It's a younger group of artists that are making, it's R&B / blues music, and it's not commercialized yet. So that intrigues me within itself. And it's good, man. If you go to the concerts, the parties, it's like a family environment. No violence. You see your wife age, your oldest daughter age, your young nana age, but they're all in one place just having a good time, like Thanksgiving. That's what it feels like. And I don't get that out of hip hop no more. It's not hip hop in the park no more. It's watch your back, and I ain't going up in that club. You know, I don't even want to be in the studio. You know, you know what I mean. So I'm cool on that, man. So that's why I like Southern Soul, and the music is really good, man.
What do you think? What's been your favorite era of hip hop, or your favorite era of music in general? I know you talk highly of the Southern Soul, but I don't know if that's your favorite era. But do you have a favorite era, and why?
first of all, let me shout out the artist that got me involved in Southern Soul, which is Mike Clark Jr. He got a record called Auntie Outside. That's no limit. I forgot to say that. But my era was my college years, which was the early 90s. For me, that was when Tribe Called Quest. That's when I got into East Coast rap. Because at first, I was nothing but South. If you want 2 Live Crew, MC Shy D, Raheem the Dream, Kilo, MCADE, Clay D, DJ Magic Mike, if you wasn't that, I didn't want to hear it. But when I went to college, I stayed in the dorm with all Midwest and New East Coast dudes. And so they kind of got me into listening to more rap. So it was the early 90s, which was Tribe, the whole Diggable Planets, that whole era, Latifah. It was just the artists that we look at now as the greats, they all kind of existed. Even Rakim was still making records, even though he came in the 80s. But that was like an era where all the new old school versus the founders, so to speak, kind of crossed over in the late 80s, early 90s. So I got a chance to DJ those records. And like Naughty by Nature was new. I was DJing there, when Hip Hop Parade first came out, I was new. So to be involved at that point in hip hop, man, that was crazy, man.
Looking back on your career and everything that you've done and continue to do, where do you think where do you think your legacy has kind of been cemented in Atlanta hip hop history?
They can't quantify my legacy, dog. They really can't, because I'm really like a brick I'm on the first level of the brick being laid, because I started as a DJ. You know what I mean? And we were breaking the music before radio was breaking the music. So from that, I made bass records, like the Freaknik era, the Booty Shake era. Like, I made music that's is woven into the culture of where all of this other stuff come from. So then you fast forward to the Yin Yang Twins, the whole twerk era, which is still going to this day. The sound that we put out there is still going with this generation. And then you fast forward to Soulja, with the way the internet is being used to market and produce music. And then you top it off with the cultural classics like the Wobble, and Halftime with the Yin Yang Twins with the HBCUs, which Deion Sanders uses it when he say, "Give me my theme music." Sounds like the Deion, man. He started out strong, but God dang, man, he I'm trying to get out to Colorado too. Don't look like we're gonna make it now.
Look, they'll be better next year.
Yeah, but what I can say, when the culture latches on to your music like that, you get a lot of license and sync requests. So I can't say that my music just is in the culture. It's not talked about, but you hear it everywhere. When you're in the club, I can say the things that I've touched are still as relevant now as they ever were. You know what I mean? It's just not talked about as much. Hell, I just looked up and saw Kim Kardashian cranking the Soulja Boy with her daughter. I mean, that's Collipark, man. If you go back to the Crank That video, they're dancing on top of the Collipark logo. It don't get talked about, but the check's still clear though.
And that's all that matter, right?
I hate to say so. Hey, strike that from the interview, dog.
What do you think? What's the biggest song? What's the biggest song you've touched, you think? Biggest song you've been a part of?
Well, to me, and it's crazy because, again, that's why you can't quantify my legacy, but it has to be the Wobble, because when I'm abroad, and you see the age range, that's a cultural record. That's not a hip hop record no more. That's not even rap no more. Like, from Atlanta, name me 3 records that are bigger worldwide, cultural, outside of some southern, whatever you want to call it, than the Wobble. But it's not talked about. But your grandmama, the weddings, your little baby girl, all ages, I'm in Bahamas. I'm in what I'm out the country, wherever they play that song, and I don't hear no other rap other than I ain't gonna lie, I'll hear Cupid, and I don't consider that as rap. But I don't hear no other for real. I don't hear no other songs. I don't even hear Outkast. So when you start putting this in perspective, I'm not bragging. I'm just telling you facts. When I go out the country, I don't hear these other records. I don't care where you from. I might hear some classic Biggie or something like that every once in a while at the club at that night, but not at the beach, not at the pool, not at the pool bar. You know what I mean? So yeah, man. The legacy is just, I don't know, man. It just speaks for itself. I can't speak for it.
For sure. Like I was gonna say, the work gonna always speak for itself. You don't got to say nothing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Look,
yeah.
Mr. Collipark, thank you so much for stopping by, talking with us, man. We appreciate your time and everything that you've done. Before we go, let the people know where can they find you if you got anything mixing coming up, anything music wise. Let the people know.
You can find me at Collipark. Let's go on IG. I'm not on TikTok like that. I tried to get into it, but I leave that to my artist, which leads me into Mike Clark Jr. That's the artist that I'm working with now. Until Outside is the single, and trust me when I tell you, if you're not familiar with Southern Soul, I give it about another year. Because you got King George, who's like the biggest artist in it right now with the Keep On Rolling record, One Monkey Don't Stop No Show. He's probably not, it ain't even probably, he's the biggest artist in the genre right now, but it's getting younger. And as it gets younger, Mike Clark is only 19 years old. So as it gets younger, you're going to start hearing more about it. And all your relatives, when you call back home or go back home to the South, they're going to be playing that in the living room when you go. So I give it another year or so. And Southern Soul, I want to be responsible for bringing it to the forefront.
Well, that's dope. Look, make sure y'all check out Mike Clark, Auntie Outside. I just talked to Mike about an hour ago. Hey, he was speaking Auntie Outside for us and everything. So look, make sure y'all go out there, listen to Mike Clark. Collipark, thank you so much for stopping by. We appreciate your time. Like I said, continue to grind, shine. We're here to support you rolling out, man.
For sure. Thank you.
Always. Thank you for checking us out, everybody. It's Rolling Out. Who's Spinning? Your host, Malik Brown, my special guest, Mr. Collipark, and we are out.